Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in-betweeners, my name's Dan. Welcome back to another PAP Reports, The Bad Bits. It is Thursday the 1st of October 2020. Paedophile pastor and presenter Benjamin David Thomas from Coed on Road, Flint, has admitted 40 sex offences, including 10 counts of sexual activity with a child, 8 sexual assaults and 4 attempts to commit sexual assault, 9 indecent assaults, 7 counts of voyeurism and 2 counts of making indecent videos of children over a 30-year period at Mould Crown Court. The church pastor sexually touched sleeping boys and men or filmed them with a secret camera and wash bag as they urinated or showered in Christian camps, dormitories in North Wales and Shropshire, leaving a string of victims shocked, angry, violated and disgusted once the police informed them of the incidents, which most didn't even know had occurred. Prosecutor Simon Rogers said that one boy did eventually raise the alarm and reported the crime, leading to a major police investigation that led to the 44-year-old cretinous cunt admitting a widespread pattern of offending. One victim said, "I am amazed at the duality of Ben's existence. On the one hand, he was earnest and passionately keen, spreading the love of Jesus, and on the other hand, he was repeatedly committing these horrendous acts." Another victim was so impressed with Thomas he thought the police who contacted him were looking for a character reference. They might even consider hiring him. Seems to have the perfect qualities for a police constable. Instead, they wanted to ask him about an incident that took place years before. He said, "I'm amazed he was so brazen to do this in a room shared by other people. He was assaulting me for his own sexual gratification. It's very difficult to comprehend," adding that the revelations made him sick to his stomach. Defence barrister Rachel Shenton said Thomas had endured a fall from grace but made extraordinarily frank admissions because he wants to wipe the slate clean. Miss Shenton accepted that it was prolific offending over an extended period, but much of the touching was over victims' clothes. That makes a fucking difference, doesn't it? Thomas knew he had caused incredible pain and expressed his remorse and regret and his sorrows, she said. She described Thomas as a complex character with an exemplary side and a bad side. Adjourning sentencing till Friday morning, His Honour Judge Timothy Petts said the victim and the defendant deserve a proper judgment and a full reflection on the matters heard today. Well, let's hope he gets a proper sentence then, Judge Timothy Petts. I wouldn't like to have to be reporting on you giving this sick bastard a lenient sentence. Ex-Devon and Cornwall PC cunt 54-year-old Michael Atkins was caught by colleagues in an undercover sting operation downloading child abuse videos while on duty. Atkins was caught because he went into an online chat room and exchanged messages with what he believed to be a fellow paedophile, but was actually a colleague. So it was a fellow paedophile then. The other man claimed to be called Simon and to have an underage daughter who he was abusing. Atkins responded by inviting him to visit him in Devon so he could join in. He was traced because he moved the conversation onto Kick Messenger, and officers from the Child Protection Unit were able to trace him through that company. Atkins was a 30-year police veteran married with grown-up children, but was found to have downloaded images or sent messages whilst he was on active duty, and although on his computer he had a file shredder, police still found 854 images or movies, of which 7 were said to have been distributed, as in sent to someone else. A check of search terms used showed this cretinous shit cunt had sought illegal images with search terms including baby sex films. Appearing at Exeter Crown Court, Judge Timothy Rose called him a hypocrite, which will piss you off in a minute after you hear what else he had to say and the sentence given. Judge Timothy Rose told him you knew at every moment the illegality of what you were doing and the harm which it contributed to in terms of the abuse of children. You realise it now, but must have known full well at the time the seriousness and depravity of the conduct in which you were engaging. All the while there was the hypocrisy of someone who was in a position where you were employed to prevent crime, but underneath your professional role, you were committing crime week in, week out over 9 years. It's quite obvious you had a thoroughgoing habit in relation to this behaviour and should have understood not only the criminality, but also the need to address it and get help before you were arrested. I've got to be honest with you, as I always am. Get help before you're arrested sounds like the judge was trying to say you're an idiot for getting caught. What difference does it make? He fucked up. The sick cunt did what he did, and it sounds like the judge is saying, "Oh, silly boy, if only you'd realised your mistakes, you could have got away with it." In total, Atkins is said to have distributed 21 images, of which 6 showed the worst kind of abuse, and had 854 images or films, of which 291 were Category A. Miss Wiebel, prosecuting, said as part of the police prosecution Miss Webel, prosecuting, said as part of the investigation, police were able to show not only that material was accessed while Atkins was a serving officer, but some messages were exchanged with the undercover officer at times when he would have been at work. Anyway, even after pointing out Atkins should have known full well at the time the seriousness and depravity of the conduct, even though after saying that there was the hypocrisy of someone who was in a position where you were employed to prevent crime, but underneath your professional role you were committing crime week in, week out over 9 years, even after saying that it is quite obvious you had a thoroughgoing habit in relation to this behaviour, Judge Timothy Rose sentenced this piece of shit to just 2 years. Suspended for 2 years, ordering him to do 125 hours of unpaid community work, 35 days of rehabilitation, and pay £425 in costs, along with being put on a sex offenders register and made subject to a sexual harm prevention order, which we already know hardly ever works, if at all. A spokesperson for Devon and Cornwall Police said the convictions secured today started as part of a proactive police investigation. Making and distributing indecent images are not victimless crimes. While Mr. Atkins has not been convicted of taking photographs himself, all of the children in these images have at one stage been victims of abuse. We will continue to investigate these horrendous crimes in order to protect the vulnerable and bring offenders to justice. Fucking 2 years suspended. Cunt. Former teacher, 78-year-old Patrick James Carton from Newcastle, who is now a dirty pedo cunt, is proving to be more of a prolific dirty bastard than first thought. Carton was already serving an 8.5-year sentence for abusing 5 girls and a boy. Earlier this year, he was handed an additional concurrent 3-year sentence for abusing 2 other girls. And now, on Wednesday, he was sentenced to a further 3 years after being found guilty of assaulting 3 other girls. Downpatrick Crown Court, sitting in Belfast, heard that Carlton, who taught at St Coleman's College in Newry and De La Salle in Downpatrick, committed the offences during private tutoring. At the time, he was sentenced to 13 years in prison, but this was reduced by the Court of Appeal in June 2019. Judge Geoffrey Miller QC outlined on Wednesday that the latest complaints included twin sisters who Carlton tutored during the 1980s before their GCSE maths exam. He had a points or star system which graduated from a written warning, ultimately to each being forced to remove their underwear, bending over his knee and be smacked on the bare bottom, the judge said. This happened on several occasions. It happened in the presence of each other and clearly caused humiliation to each. The third complainant, who was aged 17, when she suffered physical chastisement in the mid-1990s, was smacked on the bottom over her clothes during maths tutoring. Defending barrister Stephen Toll made submissions at Carton's age, the length of his pre-existing sentence and the change in his attitude should be taken into account. Judge Miller, who described Carton's actions as indefensible, said the custodial sentence was needed to protect the public. He imposed a 3-year sentence, half of which will be spent in prison and half on licence. I think I'd prefer him to serve half in prison and the other half hanging from a fucking rope. Huge thank you to every single one of our viewers and channel supporters, especially our Patreon supporters. Your support is truly appreciated. Thank you. And that's all I have for you in today's Too Much for YouTube. Please give us a like, please share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I'm pretty sure most of you will. Until next time, stay safe, look after each other, from the police and other officials. Good night, all. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.